line. If you ever have a challenge or a problem or need help, she is answering her phone and she will work through to make sure that whatever it is gets solved. So
Even while she's in labor, by the way. Seriously, that's not a joke. She did answer the phone while she was in the hospital having a baby.
that is not just a tagline.
I had that for her, I was feeling good.
We love Kelly.
So who's been here all week for homecoming week? Raise your hand. All right, awesome. And we're so excited. You guys don't really need an introduction, but to have Nikki and Jason here with us today to close us out for homecoming week. So give them a warm round of applause.
He wins because I wanted to sit and he wants to stand. So if I get tired.
Okay.
No, we're gonna stand.
Now you just said that.
No, we're gonna stand. So anyway. So I think it's always fun to start at the beginning. So, Jay, why don't you start and tell a little bit about how you got here?
All right, so this is, the homecoming thing is just like a walk down memory lane, kind of how things, we don't tell our story enough. And we don't know enough about how everything got to where it is right now. So we are gonna walk down memory lane and on both of our stories here and how it all kind of builds what we enjoy today as members of this work family. So I got into business in 96 and spent about 3 or 4 years in Century 21 in resale. And then I went into new homes with Miller Bowen Communities. And so I spent a decade in new homes with Miller. And then the crash happened, and in the crash of 7, 8, 9, we were a single income family at that point, and we had savings, and we had positioned ourselves in our lifestyle to where we were living off of half of what I made, and we had about a year's worth of savings in the bank. And so we were doing what we thought was a really good, solid, responsible way of life with us and our 3 kids. But the crash completely took away every bit of my income. And I had positioned, I've always been a student. And so when I was in new homes, I got my broker's license. I got did several like management leading classes. I was I was a field sales manager at the building company. So I was in the field working, but at the same time, I was managing the agents from the field, and I would bring agents in and train them. And whenever the market shifted and the crash happened, it wasn't a shift, it was a crash. Then I started looking at resale because I wanted to go back to resale because new homes was hit about 80% down, where resale had about a 30% pullback. And so I was like, okay, this, and also just there's a transitional time there where Nikki and I, we had an eBay business. So really quick about that.
So, do y'all know what I like to do in my spare time?
Shopping.
Yes. So she loves to shop, and she came home from a garage sale with a pair of jeans that she bought for 50 cents and put them on eBay and sold them for like 20 bucks. And I was like, I'm sorry, what just happened right there? That's quite a margin on that. And can we do that again? And I hated to shop, still don't really love it. But that turned into, there was a market on eBay for women's clothes. And so we started buying and selling women's clothes and purses and accessories. And so we had some wholesale places we go to. We went to all of the outlet malls, and we were shipping hundreds of packages per week out of our home in an effort to bridge the gap between where it crashed and we were making income in real estate again. So it went from, I don't want to go shopping, to we're going shopping again today. Let's go. And so we did that. But then Bob Hartwell, you guys all know Bob Hartwell?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this is me and Bob, and we were at a home builder convention in 2007. in Orlando, we're at a home builders convention, and I worked and got a designations like the highest designation you can get in the Home Builders Association, and as an agent. And he went to Orlando, Nikki and Bob went to Orlando to support me in getting that, and that's where we work for that. But, so Bob was my boss for those 10 years. He was the director of sales and marketing. And Bob always encouraged me. He said, you are going to be a CEO one day. Like you are a leader. You're going to, and so Bob always encouraged me. He had goal setting conversations with me. He encouraged me to read and to learn. He went with me at 2 classes. We learned together. And so if you know anything about Bob Hartwell, he's an encourager. He will build you up and encourage you. He's all about learning and growth and goal setting and achieving. And so he instilled in that as my leader during those 10 years. And then whenever the market crashed, and I went to him and I said, I got to do something different. And I went to Millard, Bowen, the owner of the company, and I said, man, I love you so much and thank you for all of the opportunity, but I've got to do something different. I can't feed my family anymore. And he said, son, you do have to do something different because there's nothing left here for you. And so I started interviewing with Remax and Cole Baker and all this. I'm going to go run a residential resale company. You know, I can do this. I know. And Bob said, well, you need to meet this guy named Brian Fair. And there's a Keller Williams office. And so Bob Hartwell introduced me to Brian Fair, who's the founder of Atlanta Partners and was the OP of this office at the time. And Stacy D, I just saw Stacy D come in, was the team leader of the office at the time. And so Bob introduced me to Brian. And then I started interviewing for the role here as team leader. And managing broker at the time, because we didn't have the broker boys. So it was team leader and managing broker.
So part of that process was Jason would, you know, we were kind of in desperation mode at that point. We'd been through all of our savings. We'd been selling women's clothes for a year. He was pretty tired of that. Our margins were thin. Our credit cards were no longer active. And so in his interview process, Brian was at family reunion and doing all this stuff. And Brian was just having other people meet with him, Paige Powers. And so one of the things that Jason learned that he could do was buy a ticket and go to family reunion. And that's a way that he could learn about the company and also maybe get some FaceTime with Brian. Yeah. So why don't you just tell a little bit about the escalator there?
Yeah. So before we get there, I do have to say that, you know, God is in control of our lives. And when I was interviewing for these different roles, I was going to say yes to someone because this owner of this company was wanting to hire me for a role and this person was going to give me a sign-on bonus. And I was very conflicted about it. And I had these red flags and I was conflicted, but I needed a job and a paycheck because we were at the end and there was nothing left. And I remember being in the kitchen and Nikki saying to me, she said, Jason, how many red flags do you need before you tell this woman no? And so she just and I was like, you know what? Thank you for that. Because she gave me permission to shut that door. And I went in the office and called the lady and said, hey, I'm a no, thank you very much. But then I kept in this process. Well, Brian did say, I said, hey, I want to go to this family reunion thing because there's no better way to figure out the good, bad, and the ugly of a company except to go to their convention and see that. And he said, yeah, you can buy a ticket and go, whatever. And so I did. I bought the ticket from an agent in Sugarloaf that could no longer go. My sister, who worked at IHG at the time, hooked me up with a hotel room, and I was going to drive down. Well, my spiritual mentor at the time, he said, son, do you have the money to go to that thing? I said, oh, yes, sir, I do. And he said, do you really? And I said, well, I'm gonna put it on the credit card. And he said, I want you and Nikki to meet me and Linda in the parking lot of Toys R Us at the Mall of Georgia. And I got something for you. And we stopped there. We met them there. And he gave me $600 in Visa gift cards and said, he said, you know, I don't say this very often, but God told me to give you this money for you to go and forge this path for your family. Mm-hmm. And so he gave me the $600, which covered a lot of that trip. And I went out, I got my Honda Accord and drove south, you know, and I felt like I was pioneering for the family going to family reunion in Orlando. But this is family reunion in Orlando. This is the Orlando Convention Center. If you know anything about the thing, this is all convention center and it's about 50 miles long. And family reunion was in this and also this, and you're like, why can't it just be here? Instead of being here and here, and you have to walk here to here to here to here. I don't know why that is, but that's why it was. That's what it was. So it was a very long way to get from one place to another. And I thought it was a good idea to buy some new shoes before I went, you know, because I had to look nice to go to this thing. And so I went to the thing, had the new shoes, and by day two, my heels were hamburger meat because they were cheap shoes. And so I was walking like, ow, 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 ow. And so I'm on the phone with Nikki and I'm walking up top and I can see down the escalator and Brian and Marcy are walking this way. I'm walking this way. I'm like, oh man, I see that Brian and Marcy. I gotta go. So I'm like, excuse me, down the escalator. Like I'm running into people like, ow, 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 ow. And I ran down and at the bottom of the escalator, there's Brian and Marcy coming. I'm like, oh, hey. I'm like, you know, Jason, that guy that's, you know, interviewing for a role. And so Brian always talks that I just kept showing up all over Orlando at the most random places. But I was just putting myself in position to make that contact. I was lead generating for myself, you know? So that was, and then we came back and I, at family reunion, I heard God Family Business. I heard Mo Anderson stand on stage and talk about the foundational pieces of the company. I heard Mary Tennant talk about the core values of the business side of this company. I heard Mark Willis talk about we were going to take over the #1 spot and we were growing and we were going to topple everybody else in the industry. I heard Bob Kalinsky, which you heard yesterday, talking about market center financials and the numbers of real estate. And I was just like, called Nikki. I said, I know two things. #1, this is the company that we're going to align with, and I'm going to spend the rest of my career in this company. #2, I'm the guy that Brian Fair needs to run that office in Beaufort. And so those are the two things that I told Nikki. And then I met with Brian, and those are the two things I told Brian. I said, #1 is the company I'm going to spend the rest of my career with, and #2, I'm the guy you need to come in and run this office. And he said yes.
So you started in March of 2009 as team leader here.
15 years this month.
15 years this month. And what was your, you know, I remember sitting in the office the night before you started. It was like, okay, I don't really know exactly what a team leader does, but we're gonna figure it out. I know they're gonna lead. So what was your first goal as team leader?
To cast a vision and to rally the troops and to give the people of this office hope on that they can be successful. So, you know, Stacy done a great job of navigating very, very difficult times. And it was the depths of the lake was the lowest it's ever been. We were in the thick of terrible, like the team leader of this office that had grown the office was moved out and Stacy came in. And so she's like in this losing proposition of these terrible circumstances. And so all of those things, it was like a perfect storm, wasn't it, Stacy? It was like this perfect storm of awesomeness. She would probably use different words, but so
Storm is part of what I would have called it, but not. Not perfect.
It's a shift storm.
it was very shifty. And so to come in and just cast a new vision. So what you know, when people get into real estate business, what do they say they want to do? What they want to earn? $100,000. It's been that way for all 20 something years, 8 years. Like we, you know, there is inflation. We do need to up that because it's always been $100,000. So we created this new mantra in this market center, which is we're the home of the six-figure agent. And this room, we had these little dollar signs hanging off of all of the tiles and everything was home of the six-figure agent, home of the six-figure agent. We had a six-figure plan and action and classes and, you know, you come here, you do this, you're productive, you can make the $100,000 you want to make. So we were home of the six-figure agent.
And that was fun.
It was fun.
It was fun. And I was not yet licensed, but I felt like I was kind of part of it because I was at home making dollar signs and coming in the middle of the night and hanging them from the ceiling. And so it was good. And
Or every bit.
And it was kind of at that time that the whole Jason Bond's charts and graphs guy was born. And I love, you and I were talking and you reminded me why that was, and I want you to share that.
So fear and emotion takes over so often when you're in uncertain times. And so fear and emotions take over. But what I know is that when you have the numbers and the facts of something, that and you can show the facts of something, then that trumps the fear and can trump the fear and emotions. And so what I knew was that the market was changing. But the agent's perception was still that it's terrible and awful. There's no opportunity. We're starving. And, you know, and so the charts and graphs really gave me an opportunity to look in the data, the numbers that drive real estate, and then tell the story of opportunity and hope to the agents here that we had cast that vision of the home of the six-figure agent. And I've got a couple of them, but this was me and the ALC, we came up with the mission statement to provide a positive, encouraging, and productive environment for agents to grow a profitable business while achieving their personal and professional goals. And just to the culture of this, and I'll get to a couple of the charts and graphs. This was us at a Red Bash. You know, we just had fun. It was like cast a vision, work hard, and then have fun. And so that we had like KW Buford Rocks, and this was all of us with.
I still have my shirt.
I still have my shirt. And I was wearing some super cool glasses there, you know? And then our red days, you know, we just had a great time with Red Day. There's Scooter there, Scooter's not here, but Deidre, sorry, and I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But so Teresa, you know, just like there was a really good, fun, teamifying rallying cry around what we were doing, what we were building. And then this is just a couple of like, okay, Gwinnett County under contract and residential sold. Look, it's up. And I'm saying Gwinnett County, 68% more homes under contract and 48% more closed in this September versus last September. You know, I like it. It's like, okay, this is the truth. You can, so this was where we were just coming out of it. Like you can wallow in what you thought it was, but let me tell you what it is. Don't wallow in what you thought it was. Let me tell you what it is. And then, you know, this is months supply. I put this in it because I thought it was funny. 13.5 months supply of inventory. You know,
Yeah.
so we came off of, and we plummeted off of like 10 down to 4.9. Just a totally different world than the one we're living in right now. But those statistics, this would surprise many of you who only know me from charts and graphs and stat chats. I'm not a high C person at all. I just know that this is how I have to frame the story in my own head first, and then to share and lead you in thinking that way about what it is and what's possible. So that's the charts and graphs. So you about this time we're getting into the business too. I mean, come on, girl, you staying at home, you know, with the kids for after being a teacher. And so tell us about your journey into from that to this.
Well, in about April 2009, Nikki was in place as the team leader, and he said, "Hey, you know, I'm going to need you to come back to work." I had been at home for 12 years with the kids. Being a mom was like, I loved it, loved everything about it. Still love everything about being a mom. Was quite happy at home, but needed to contribute to the family. And so I was like, all right, my stepmom has been in the hospital for 30 years. I didn't want to go back to teaching. I'm just going to go get a hospital job, like, you know, punch in at 7, leave at 3, super easy. And he was like, no, you're not. And he said, you're gonna get your real estate license. I said, no, I'm not. And so we had that push-pull conversation from April to August.
And also I said, I know you. I know how talented you are. And I know the competition in this industry. And you can, you have everything you need to succeed in this business. And so it wasn't just me pushing you into something. It was like, I believed in you, that you have what it takes to be successful in it.
Yes, you did. Way more. I needed to borrow his belief because I did not believe in myself. So anyway, in August, I got the online license course, became licensed in September. Many of you have heard this story, cried for the first 4 months. And in January, so I didn't do any business from the time I got licensed to January. And I cried a lot. But funny story, before we get to there, you guys saw I posted this. So I had an encourager in the office. While I was contemplating getting my license and studying, Jason said, hey, I'm talking with this agent. She's getting her license and she gave me all of her study materials to give to you because I told her that my wife was getting ready to get her license. She's super nice. I really, really think you're gonna like her. So I got my license, got to the office, and probably sometime around, I don't know, November, I ended up meeting this very nice lady. And so we became friends, and she friended me on Facebook. And when she friended me on Facebook, I saw her maiden name. And when I saw her maiden name, I realized she was my best friend from second grade. This is my second grade yearbook, and I don't know if you can pick out my face and the other familiar face in the office.
Okay, again, where's Nikki? It's so obvious.
You had a hard time.
The ponytail.
Middle?
No.
This one?
The one with the bangs.
No.
Was it the bottom?
Bangs?
That one.
That's what I was gonna say. That one?
This one?
That one. That's what I think.
That is me.
Oh, that looks like Chloe.
So that is me. And right here is Marcy Farrell. And so Marcy Farrell and I were best friends in second grade, and she was the one lending me her study materials to become an agent. And we ended up sharing an office together, and it was interesting how we connected as adults, not knowing that we had such a really cool connection as kids. And so anyway, super special story. But in January of 2010, Jason said, around the same island where I told him how many red flags did he need before he told that woman no.
A lot of tough conversations around that.
Really
island.
happened, yeah. If we ever sit you down at our island, brace yourself. Conversations happen. Jason said, hey, and you might remember it differently than this. He said, but I might have made a mistake. I feel like I've pushed you into this. And so I either need you to quit or stop crying.
I'm very lucky. She's condensing like I was soft, but like a long
Long
time.
runway.
She just, one sentence makes that seem a
But
little harsh.
we only have an hour and we have a lot of questions to get to. So anyway, he said, I either need you to quit or stop crying, but I need my wife back. And I told you and I tell everybody, I don't know that I've ever been so upset with him in 30 years of marriage. Because I was like, you drugged me into this. I've been through 4 months of what I thought was pretty much hell. And now you're like, quit. And so I was like, I'm not quitting. And if I'm transparent with you guys in the room, I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of feelings that people were like, oh, the team leader's wife got her real estate license. That's so cute. You know, Jason had a very successful career in real estate, and I kind of felt like I couldn't measure up. So I had some mindset work to do. But what I wasn't going to do was quit. That made me really mad. And so I don't have.
That was it.
So I was like, something, and so what I had to do was find something that I felt could be my own. And something that Jason had not accomplished was being Rookie of the Year. And so I was like, all right, something I can make my own is I can be Rookie of the Year, which is not something you did in real estate, it's something I'm gonna do in real estate. It was January. I now had 11 months to do it. I had no listings, I had no buyers, and I wasn't sure how it was gonna happen, but I was like, that's what's gonna happen. So changed all my passwords to Rookie 2010 and
You had
made,
little notes all over the place, rookie.
I did, made a 411 and a 135 on how that was gonna happen. Part of that was Bold was about to start. Remind you, we had no money. We had no credit cards that would do Bold. So I went downstairs and I told Jason, hey, I'm selling your treadmill and I'm selling your weight set because that will give me enough money to go to Bold. And he was like, okay. So went to Bold.
Next 5 years, I was soft and fat.
But I made it.
But you made.
So there's that. This is Linda Cook, now Linda Polinsky. She was my first Bold coach and I cried through her whole Bold. But she helped me work through a lot of the mental mindset challenges that I was having. And by the end of that year, I had sold 21 and a half homes because I got a rental in there. And I was named, this office is Rookie of the Year and Neymar's Rookie of the Year. So that was pretty cool. So that was how, that's how I got here.
And then this was just our first family reunion. We were, what is that?
Oh, that
Cafe
place,
Dumont?
beignets, yeah.
Cafe
Dumont.
Dumont,
Yeah.
and that was her, so her first family reunion was a little, like, more compact than Orlando.
Yes.
But that was us. I liked these striped shirts for some reason.
There's a theme.
I didn't
Yeah.
have any gray hair and, but anyway.
So kind of back to now we're getting back into the market. There's lots of inventory and you got really creative on how to keep people motivated.
Yep.
And,
So we started doing game shows here and so for team meetings, we would do game shows and it was super fun. There's Stacy Lee. So this was the dating game. So we had the dating game here, and they were like real estate related questions somewhat. It was a lot of fun and some real estate, but it was just teamifying. It was enjoyable. I was the host with the wig on. And, it was fun. We did The Price is Right, the dating game, Wheel of Fortune. We played Jeopardy. I mean, we had a lot of fun learning real estate and being a family together.
yes, we did.
And also, Jules, you put on Facebook the other day something about how many people we could fit in a Honda Accord. One of the things at Orlando that we did was, so I went there as a guest of Sugarloaf and not really in the culture of North Gwinnett because it was one of those things where you didn't want to, we didn't know, Brian didn't know if he's gonna hire me or not. And so you just didn't want to disrupt the culture of what was going on. Well, then he was like, well, you need to meet a couple of the people. And I'm like, well, I've actually already called them and know them, but because I've been working the investor group behind the scenes. And then, so I went to a dinner where everybody was. And I drove and so there was a whole bunch of people at this dinner from North Gwinnett. And then they were like, all right, well, we're leaving. We're gonna go this, that, or the other. And who's got a car? And I was like, I have a car. And then how many people did we fit in? 10 people in my Honda Accord.
We were riding down the road, walking to our hotel, and you stopped and goes, anybody need a ride? We all look around like, yeah, we all do. And he's like,
10 people.
we all got in.
10 people in my Honda Accord. Everybody was stacked up like firewood all over this car. Like if I would have gotten pulled over, it would have been, and I remember there was one person who was no longer here, but he was saying some really, really bad stuff. And Teresa Smith was behind me in the car and she reached up and put her fingers into both of my ears. She's like, she wanted me to stay, she's like, don't listen to anything that this guy is saying. But it was funny.
So there was a Tuesday in January of 2010 that earned you this apron.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put it on you so everybody can read it. This is a gift. I think Marcy gave it to you. So do you smell something burning?
Yeah.
So, let's talk about what was burning.
The building was burning. Building caught fire. So I was in a team meeting
Right,
and
standing right there.
standing right
actually.
here, and from back there, this is. So, you've already seen me in a wig. I mean, this is not, and my shirt all unbuttoned, but so I'm standing here doing the team meeting and, you know, I'm like, if I'm doing a team meeting, I don't want distractions, you know, and so Director of First Impressions comes around, Marlene comes around and she's like this from back there. And I'm in mid, like I'm shucking it down, man. I'm making it happen. And then she's just like, you know, excuse me, 1 second. What is it? And I went back there and she says, I think the building's on fire. Okay, that warrants one. So I look down the hallway and sure enough, there's smoke coming out of this little hallway. And so I walk back in front of the room. I says, all right, gang, I need you to stay calm. And the building is on fire. I need everybody to exit the building immediately. Do not go to your offices. Do not go find something or find someone. Just go straight out the front door. And so everybody walked out and Sean Motis was like, it's in this bathroom right here. And so we went to the bathroom and I opened the door and sure enough, like the whole ceiling is just engulfed in massive flames. And there was a fire extinguisher right there on the wall. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna grab the fire extinguisher. You kick the door open. So Sean kicks the door open and I emptied the fire extinguisher on that ceiling and then we ran out. And the fire department guys said that the doubling rate of fire is so many, he had super technical doubling rate of the fire. And he said, if y'all would not have knocked that down, the whole building would have burned down. And to which point Brian was like, why didn't you let the building burn? I'm like, I thought I did a good thing. I should have been building.
We got a new kitchen.
We
That was.
We did get a new kitchen. Yes, that was good.
So that was, you know, immediately in that moment, leadership is tested because that is an opportunity. Anytime there's any type of disruption or tragedy, it's an opportunity for people to stall out, to focus on what they shouldn't be focusing on and take their focus off of what they should be doing. So, you know, I'm leading this office. It's like, okay, we gotta make this thing happen. I need a place for my people to do their business. And so I got on the phone, I found a commercial building that was pretty close to here, but it was in another market center's territory. So I got on the phone with that OP and asked if we could temporarily be in his territory, to which he kindly said yes. He did not have to. And I rented that space and the team here, Nikki and all of us as a staff moved the projector and because you know I gotta have PowerPoint. So we moved the projector and all the stuff and the Keller Williams sign.
We painted the
We
wall
painted
red.
the wall red. And so from Tuesday to Tuesday, all the agents walked into that other space the very following Tuesday. And it was fully equipped. It looked KW. There were offices. There was a reception office. There was a copier. Like we were up and running. We had internet. I mean, everything. Computers were set up. We were ready to do business that Tuesday. And the whole time, I was like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on today. Here's what you need to focus on. And this is, I had this as my signature during that time. The road to success is dotted with many tempting parking spaces. And my thing was no parking. Like, do not, like, it's the same thing, right? How many different changing things have we experienced in this business? And there's so many opportunities. The road to success is absolutely covered with super tempting exit ramps and parking spots. No parking, keep moving. And that was the messaging there. But I knew that we knew that we had to get an opportunity for people to do business. And it was pretty cool. We were in there for way longer than we thought we would.
Yes.
We brought a lot of business to Vinny's Pizza. They missed us when we left.
They did.
They did.
They did. And there was a bar with loud music on one side.
Yes.
And there was a vet with barking dogs on the other side. And so either you were with the thumping music in an office, or you were with the yapping dogs in the other side of the office, but.
But we made it, and it was great, and it was great. So, we, as an office, we were growing our agent count. And we were, as an office, we were dying to be number one
At something,
at something.
anything,
And so, Mr. Pimp Daddy,
yes.
let's talk about the zebra shoes.
Before you talk about that.
Oh,
We have
More things? I thought this was the thing. No,
We have
no.
something else for you.
better.
You have to be decorated.
I hope it's his earrings.
Just embrace it. Just let it happen.
These don't really go together. can I?
No, you can take it from him. He actually did. not
Wardrobe
take-
change.
Yeah.
You know how much I like to dress up.
I guess it's been a minute,
We
right?
tried to find you a zebra suit, but we
It
figured,
would,
you know.
yeah, I wouldn't get here in time. Oh, that's so good.
That's second. So good. No, we have earrings, no?
Well, so I do have, growing up, I did have an earring, and so I put this big earring in and came downstairs and my kids were like, "What is Dad doing?"
Oh, that's good.
All right, so
That is so good.
this is way less cool than the one that
I don't know, I mean, you're rocking it.
Yeah.
All right, so you made a contest, because we were gonna be number one in
and
something.
something.
And, so the number one in something was, we were gonna have the most agents was Black and Red Ball. So the Black and Red Ball was all the offices came together in December. And it was a big Cures for Kids function. And the office that had the most agents in attendance was recognized. And so we're like, all right, we're gonna do this. And so Jason,
I'm all about contests.
you're all about
I want
contests,
competition.
and he's all about like, I'll do whatever it takes.
I will do whatever it takes, and I love competition. Yes.
So,
Is this distracting? Is it-
no. Well, actually, only for you, probably.
I'm good, let's do it, come on.
So, a group of agents, I think Julie was in the mix and Ashley was in the mix,
Also,
Elsa was in the mix, said exactly how whatever it takes will you do? Like, define that. And he said, well,
I said, when you're number one, then you get to dress me for the Black and Red Ball. And so I said that, and they immediately went to dresses and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Time out. When you get number one, you can accessorize my tuxedo. Okay, so that's how I kept it, like, was something that I would be willing to do. So then we were just constantly, I was like, all right, we're this many away, here's where we are, we're getting, this is a funny email chain. So I'm sending this, hey gang, we're there, whatever, and then I was talking to the ALC in this email right here, and I'm like, hey, we gotta get on it, and the office is tired of hearing me drone on about it, so y'all as ALC members need to get on it. She says, you just need to concentrate on being Pimp Daddy. So, you just get over that, we got this handled, which they did, and they were number one, and it was amazing, and then this was,
yes.
So good.
so that's, got my earring, I have the zebra print, the hat, and then these platform shoes that I got off Amazon, which,
Those were the best.
so it was fun. We had a great time, and this is like a very high class event. So I was walking around
I'm
and
not sure actually that Brian and Marcy knew what to do with you that
they
night.
did not know what to do.
Because Jason walked in, and I'm pretty sure that like Brian had to physically lift Marcy's chin up. I was like, who are you? and what
This
did
was
you
at the
think?
755 Club at the Brave Stadium. I mean, it's super nice venue. It's black tie. And I am there in zebra platform shoes and I had this cane, it was like, I was totally. And so that lasted until. So little did I know that I would become a prop in many people's photos that night, especially women's photos.
Yep.
And so I was in a drink line getting a Diet Coke. I was in a drink line and these two ladies came up and they said, oh, we want to get a picture with you. And a lot of people, they knew me, but they had no idea that that was me. So these two ladies came up and said, can we get a picture with you? And I'm like, absolutely. And so they gave the camera to somebody and they put me in the middle and they went like this and put their legs around me. And I'm smiling for this picture. And I look all the way across the 755 club and I see those eyes like going. So I'm there with these two ladies with their legs crossed in front of me and I was like, that's it, ladies. And I walked off and she said, you're done, buddy. And so I'm like, okay, I'm taking all the stuff off. It's like, okay,
Fun time is over.
my time is over.
Children have money, we're
My
done.
time is over. But again, it's just, the deal is to have fun when you're doing stuff. You know, it's like, you know, I'm a serious person. I'm about business. I'm about competing. I'm about growing, taking territory, all the things. But at the same time, you can have fun doing it, you know? And so that's just what we did. It was great.
So, I know there's so much more we could talk about but I want to share a little bit about how you went from, okay, team leader, OP of this office in 2013, and then where you are today. So share a little bit about what that looked like.
So,
And I think you can take the glasses off.
Only if you. It's a reversible hat, so you could wear it however you want, just saying.
so, you know, whenever I took the role as team leader, I told Brian, because I saw opportunity path in his company. And I said, I just want you to know that the team leader won't be my final destination. Like, it won't be a stepping stone, but it won't be my final destination. I do want to grow and I see opportunity in this company. And he's like, I love that. That's great. And he says the same thing that I've heard him say for 15 years. The best way to earn your next opportunity is to crush your current opportunity. And that is life. Like, if you're ever not crushing your current opportunity and looking past it and saying, I want the next one, and not crushing the one that you currently are entrusted to, that's entrusted to you, then you won't get the next one. And so I was very clear and I understood that I had to crush this one to earn the next one. But I just wanted to be clear also that it wasn't a final destination. So we were on the same page on that. And then, so Brian had just taken over the New York tri-state region. He was the OP of 9 offices. He had multiple businesses and he just had this absolutely linear organizational chart with unbelievable amount of direct reports. And so I'd been telling him that, you know, you need some vertical development in your organizational chart and you need other leaders to come alongside you to help grow and build the organization. Because as great as you are, and I know you try to get in business with leaders who are self-sufficient, even a self-sufficient leader would go further with a closer direct report that can help that person to grow better. And he said, I don't disagree. So I got through the process of what is your big why? What is, you know, Nikki was working, you know, really hard as an agent at that time. She created some non-negotiables in her business, which was great. At that time, the financial opportunity for team leader was nothing what it is today. And I mean, it was much, much less because a large portion of a team leader's compensation is owner profit bonus. And in a situation with very little owner profit during that time, although whenever there was a loss that we had whenever I took over, we were able to come out of that and we became competitive in the group. There still just wasn't a huge financial opportunity like team leader is today. And so I got really clear with what my big why was. And I wrote it down on this parchment piece of paper, like what my big why was. And I had these multiple things of this is one path I could go. This is another path I could go. I called a meeting with Brian. I sat down and I said, I want to share with you that I've come to a lot of clarity My big why was to choose a path where I could provide for our family on the sweat of my back, not Nikki's, so that we could realign our family to the structure that our family should be. Because I put a lot of pressure on Nikki to share in providing for the family, and that wasn't hers to bear. That's mine to bear. I love that she has a successful business and enjoys that, but I wanted her to have the choice to enjoy that, not the responsibility to enjoy that. That's a completely different burden on your shoulders, completely different thing. And so I shared that with Ryan, and he said, all right. And I said, look, you need me, and I want to do this, and I'm going to choose a path where I can provide for my family on the sweat of my back, not my wife's. And he said, okay, give me a week. And he came back and he said, I want you to, and I was asking to become the operating principal of this location and replace myself as team leader. And he came back with a very, very, very amazing opportunity that he presented to me, that I would not have been able to make that leap and that jump had he not been extremely generous with me on the price of us buying into this business and the terms on the money. And so he understood that he needed leadership. We had been in business long enough to where he trusted that we could move forward together and that I would do right by him. And he created that opportunity, and that was that really changed the trajectory of my career. And so I became the OP. Nikki and I came, the OP was like the team leader's non-competing position, but as OP, I could go back into production with Nikki. Nikki had built an $8 million business and had an admin and a buyer's agent. Bless you. And then I came in and we were able to then work together. Nikki and I have always been multipliers for each other. And so, sometimes you have people in your life that you're addition, like 1 and 1 is 2. And that's good. Some people are subtraction. 1 minus 1 is 0, and together you suck. And other people are multipliers. And so Nikki and I are multipliers. We always have been in things that we get together on. And so, 1 and 1 can be 5 with us. And so we got together on she always helped me as team leader to give the perspective of the agent, and it was a benefit to me. Then when we came in as partners in Bond Realty Group, we were able to grow that. And so we were growing that. I replaced myself here as team leader. I was the OP. Brian enjoyed the leadership running beside him then at that point, being able to collaborate and share some of the responsibility. And so he's like, hey, I need you to come in and do more. I need you to take over a couple more market shares. I need you to do more. And I'm like, yeah, 2 or 3 more years, 2 more years. And I said that for about 2 years before he's like, you can't 2 years me to death. And I'm like, you got to come. And so I said, all right. So sooner than we wanted to, I came out of Bonds Realty Group daily operations, took over 2 more market centers. And then shortly after that, Brian said, I want you to come in and, we're not a corporate organization. So these things are just, but he's like, I want you to be the CEO of Atlanta Partners and be, us run the thing together. And, and so, that became the title for about a half a second. I'm like, this is kind of a dumb title because we're not even a corporate company, so I'm just partners and we're just running it together. And so that's what we did. And so OP of 4 market. So then after the 3 market centers, then launching another market center, acquiring another market center, building the OP group up and having other people get opportunity in the company to create more vertical development in the org chart. And then, through those years, the organization is what it is today. So is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking for. So I think, 10 more minutes. There's so many things and we get to them all, but, why? I know what my answer is. We'll hear yours first. Why is this office so important to you?
This is my OG people, man. I grew up here, my heart is, I saw some recording, nobody's recording this. Don't show this to my other market centers. But it's like, there's a special place where you grow up. And I look all the way back to whenever I came to meet with Stacey D, I was meeting with Stacy D at a restaurant. And for the first time before I got hired, before I went to family, or after family reunion. It was sometime in that, it was the first meeting we had. And I went to fill my truck up, or my car up. It was the Honda Accord. So I filled my car up and I had the shoes on that made my feet hamburger, but I took the thing out and gas all over my foot. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to meet this lady that I'm gonna be working with, and I got gas all over my foot. You know, it's like those crazy things. Whenever I came and took over as team leader, I was in my office and Jennifer Mest, who many of you don't know, but if you did, she's just a wonderful person. And she was an amazing culture icon here in this market center. And just love Jennifer Mest. Well, she just is a supportive person. Well, I was at my desk. I'll never forget this. And I was like, this is amazing. Like I'm the leader here. I'm like, people just looked at me like I knew what I was doing immediately. You know, that's that whole thing, title buys you time. A title buys you time, and then, you know, you have to earn that right later. But I was in the title buys you time phase, and I was like, this is amazing. I just get to come in here every day and be the whatever. This was like a couple of weeks in, my desk was all clean, and Jennifer Mest comes around the corner. Hey, how you doing? I was like, I'm great. This is amazing. I love this. And then about a month later, my hair's on fire. My desk is a total wreck. I can't solve all the problems that are going on. And I'm like, and she walked in and everything's crazy. She's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm really just crazy right here right now. But it just, that growing up here and being able to look around this room and see faces from the absolute very beginning of my entry into this company is just very heartwarming, you know? And so it's just, it's special.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think for me, this place has always been somewhere where you could be just who you are. And you never had to be somebody you weren't. You never had to try to be somebody that you weren't. Some of my deepest friendships were born in this place. And, you know, you hear a lot in our industry about backbiting and don't look at what I'm doing, or I'm not gonna help you. And that just doesn't exist here. We walk around with open hands and open hearts. And, you know, I've experienced it. I'll never forget. In fact, I saw Elsa Mitchell in a Macy's store, and I know the people at Macy's thought I had lost my mind because John Maxwell talks about closing circles. He said, if you have something in your world where someone did something for you or you appreciate something for somebody, he said, tell them, close that circle. And so when I was a new agent, Elsa Mitchell pulled a chair up beside me in the resource room back there. She didn't have to do this. And she spent over an hour with me, just like walking me through how to do something so simple on the computer. And she just poured into me and poured into me and poured into me and poured into me. And I stood in that Macy's about 6 months ago, sobbing, telling her that I will never forget her for that. And this place is just full of those kinds of people. Many of you in this room have impacted me in that way. So anyway, that's why this place is special.
And it's like the people, so people that are in this market center, you don't have a perspective outside this market center.
Yeah.
If you've been in a different market center, you're here, then perhaps you do. But it's like you just, there's something special here. And it's intangible, but very, very palpable. Like you can feel it. You can sense it. And it's different. You know, we go to a church camp, we go to 12 Stone, and the Florida Branch campus we go to, the spiritual formation pastor would call it the Cracker Barrel campus. He's like, you know, we're different. Then they say we're different. The feeling here, the relationships are different here. And so we're the Cracker Barrel campus. So we're like, oh, yeah, like North Gwinnet's a Cracker Barrel office. You know, it's like because it's warm and we just always talked about the high-minded exchange of ideas and the sharing and all of the help that everybody's willing to give. And just, you know, we've been through foxholes together in challenging, difficult times, you know, with the Great Recession, the crash, and all of the challenges after that. I mean, my goodness, the last 4 years have been a rapid fire of challenges to overcome and tons of opportunity. But super cool culture here.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, what else? You want to?
I guess we can close with what's your word of the year in 2024?
Connections. And as one of the challenges of when you're in an organization, it's a large organization, one of the challenges of, you know, and I'm not talking positionally or anything like that, you know me well enough, but of moving up an organizational chart is that you have more people that you're responsible for or visible to. And I loved being team leader right here because I love this. You can tell from the story and the history that I love this. And I'm called to something that isn't as intimate as this, but I miss that. And so for me, 2024, it was connections and just making sure that for my own soul, that I'm connecting deeper with people. And some of that is just like do for one what you wish you could do for everyone kind of a thing, or just make sure that I'm leaning into connections with people that are important to me. So what about yours?
Mine is stronger. So I arrived at that word because as we were going through a ambitions and desires exercise for this year, just thought about different areas of my life. I want to be spiritually stronger. I want to be mentally stronger, physically stronger. I want to be stronger in my skills. And so as I was listing all that, I was like, oh, okay, stronger is my word. So that's what I'm looking to do here.
A couple of minutes left. Any questions or comments from?
Super quiet. Mhm. I'll ask, because we did this yesterday. Because you obviously have a team here and husband and wife, and you being our OP and have been in the team leader role before. You, with this market center particularly, and outside of then out with KW, with Atlanta Partners. How do you keep pushing the vision further? Because I know like Gary is such a huge thinker. And he has a whole team of people around him that keeps all the marbles on the table, right? That yes, you can do that. No, you can't do that. On a scale where we are in Atlanta Partners, since you are in Atlanta Partners and also the OP of several market centers. How do you keep pushing the vision forward and be a bigger thinker and still keep all the marbles on the table?
I think it's just about what's possible. We are in an organization and a company with, you know, Gary's vision and KW's vision can encompass our vision.
Mhm.
And we are in relationship with and in a company that does have opportunity and is bigger. And so as the market changes, one of the things, I'm a solutions-based person. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? What are the parameters? How do we need to charge this storm? What do we need to do? Okay, let's go do it. And so part of that is just what are the opportunities in the marketplace and in this organization? How is the industry changing? And how do we need to adjust to take advantage of opportunities through the changes? And so, you know, some of that has been the acquisitions and launching of market centers and bringing in additional partners and doing joint ventures where we're partnering with producing agents in the market center to continue to help build wealth. One of the things I did at Family Reunion was join KW Wealth. I did that for several reasons, one of which is not the least of which is to bring the wealth building conversation and some structure to that here to you guys so that we're having a conversation where it's just not only about selling a house. It's about building a future, perhaps generational wealth that you can, you know, so it's like, it's being connected. Solutions in current market, where is the market changing? What are the opportunities and how do we bring that to the people we serve? Did that answer your question?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yes, Theo.
One of the things that I found powerful that you brought up before, was your airplane ride with your back of the napkin org chart. And then how you kind of revisited that as you've grown your business. Can you give us like a little glimpse of that? Cause I think that would be a wonderful story to share.
Yeah, sure. So when we came back from Family Reunion 2013, we were on the plane and we were debriefing on the plane and it was on this iPad not this one, but an iPad. Where we were drawing, where we had this, we both had the same takeaway that we need to build the organizational chart and we need to know who is our who in Bonds Realty Group. At the time, we were 10 million in somewhere around 10 million volume. It was me and Nikki and one administrative team member. And so we on the plane drew an organizational model and an economic model to where it's like, this is how many transactions we need. This is, you know, the commission, and so we had a path to $1 million and the org chart to get there. And we drew that out on the plane, came back, put it in something a little nicer, fancier, and then we were looking for a who is the who. And within 24 months, we had built the organization and closed $1 million in gross commission income. So,
If I can add to that
Yeah,
also,
sure.
one of the things on that plane ride was, do we want to grow the team? And that was the question that we had to ask ourselves. And if we do, why? And Jason and I have always felt like we were, part of our gift was hosting people. And at home, we're the host home for all of our family events. Even when we lived in a 900 square foot duplex, we always hosted people. And so it was also on that plane ride that our mission statement to create an exceptional experience with each person who chooses to align themselves with us was born. And so Bonds Realty Group exists because we want to host agents in their business. And so we really had to develop the why. And that why has driven and still drives today the reason that our team exists. And so that was also just instrumental in deciding, are we going to build the team? Because you've got to know the why behind why you're doing it.
right, because we could shut it down and do something different and not, but it is, so to create, to create an experience with each person who chooses to align themselves with us, is, an exceptional experience to create. So we're creating something, an exceptional experience with, it's two-way. If you're working against me, we can't create something exceptional with each person. So one-to-one who chooses, we have to choose each other to align. We have to be in alignment with each other with us. So to create an exceptional experience with each person who chooses to align themselves with us was our combined mission statement. And that plays out in our church world, in our family world, in our business world, everywhere. And so hosting people in our business and Bonds Realty Group to help them to succeed is, and every year in our annual planning, I say, do you still want to do this? Or do you want to shut Bonds Realty Group down? Like, and those Bonds Realty Group people in the room, she always says yes.
They're holding their breath.
That'd be a really bad way to make that announcement.
And there is something Nikki wants to say. No, every year, it's like, do you want to shut it down or do you want to continue to do that? And every year she goes away and she comes back and says, we're supposed to continue to do it, And it's just that whole like really digging into, am I in it? Am I in this? Does this still play out? Is this what we should and want to be doing? And yes.
But it's because I know that it's my desire to host people and make a place for people and walk alongside them in their journey. And so because I'm passionate about that, I know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Thea? Is that?
Oh, it was great, yeah. And that's actually the first time I've heard that part of the story, so I'm so glad I brought it up. That's awesome, thank you.
I'm a mantra guy, and so mantras just play in my head all the time because that's just the way that I talk to myself instead of listen to myself. Like I talk to myself and I set my mindset in a moment of clarity. I adopt or create mantras where that in a moment of clarity, I know this is who I'm called to be and who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing. So that when I get out of that moment of clarity, because I always say that the human mind left unchecked can rationalize anything. And so the human mind left unchecked can rationalize anything. I use mantras to keep myself moving in the right direction and grounded in what I'm supposed to be doing. So when I get into those places where I'm talking to, I'm listening to myself and, you know, my self-talk is bad and imposter syndrome and you're not good enough, you're not smart, you're not this, you're not that. And you're gonna fail and nobody's gonna listen to you and all the things that my head says to me whenever, you know, I have to choose not to listen to myself. I have to talk to myself in those mantras. And so that's why over the years, you've always heard me in these little one-liner mantras that I just live by. Any other questions? We're over on time and there's some good food out there, so.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Do you want to grab lunch and then do the North thing, or what is you?
They might like, cause I asked him about just answer any kind of Q and A on NAR stuff. Do you want to do that now? Or you guys want to fix a plate and come back in here? Anybody need to leave? Nobody speak at once?
I think maybe like a lunch and learn type thing.
Okay, we'll grab lunch and come back in here really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, you're an open book.
I'm an open, hungry book.
I am, and I have to leave.